So your site's not secure, and you're not sure you really need to have an SSL certificate for your site. Well, we're going to tell you 5 reasons why you have no more excuses to be insecure. Hey guys, Chris Love, owner of Love to Dev, here with you today, and we're going to talk about being secure. That's right, implementing HTTPS for your website. Now, traditionally, HTTPS, or Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure, has been really reserved for, say, the e-commerce sites or sites that have been collecting like vital information, for example, a social security number. However, this is quickly changing these days because search engines and browsers and many other factors are coming into play, essentially requiring sites to be secure these days. So we're going to look at 5 reasons why all sites should have HTTPS. Now, the first reason you want to do that is to build customer trust in your brand, and to do that, browsers will indicate if your site is secure. They will give them visual cueing to let them know that the site's secure, but they'll really let them know if they think the site's not secure. For example, the latest versions of Chrome will now visually indicate if a site is insecure just because it has a password field. So if you have a login form on anywhere on your site, then your page will probably show up as insecure to the person using it, and they'll probably flee or think twice about, even just logging into their account. And if they sense that you're collecting credit cards or any other kind of sensitive data, they'll also do the same thing. So they're getting much more aggressive in showing what they consider to be insecure sites. Now, how do you make your site secure? Well, your server needs to have a security certificate. This can be known traditionally as an SSL, or secure socket layer certificate, but you will probably also see a TLS, which is another transport security layer certificate, which is really more what's accurate these days. Now, you have to set these up on your server. Now, the process really goes through a verification step, and it doesn't have to be as strenuous as it was in the past. For example, 15, 20 years ago, when I was setting up certificates for clients, they had to have proof of business with licensing agreements and all those kind of things with municipalities or state tax documents. It was kind of a rigorous process, and the certificates were rather expensive back then as well. And there were some other technical issues that made them even more complicated to issue and also implement. That's not really the case so much anymore, so that barrier is kind of dwindled, okay? And so that's kind of one of the other points we want to make, is that they're not cost prohibitive. In the past, it was several $100s a year to have a certificate, and while you still can buy certificates that are several $100s a year, those tend to be what I would consider very complex certificates, and they also tend to have like insurance policies built in with them. Pretty much most certificate providers will have some sort of liability insurance built into it, but the more you pay, obviously the more insurance you get. Now, all of Love to Dev's websites, even our quick launch website package, which is about $300, are secure. They all have SSL implemented on them. Every site that we manage is SSL. And we can do that because security certificates are not cost prohibitive, and the technical requirements to get them set up not as high a barrier as they used to be. So that eliminates one of the biggest barriers to implementing HTTPS. Now, the other thing that that's important is search engine ranking. Both Google and Bing have publicly stated that being SSL is a ranking factor. So when all things are equal, if your site's secure and your competitors is not, you will rank above them in the search listings. Now, if you've gone to a lot of effort to build a good backlink infrastructure, done on-page, off-page SEO, done all kinds of technical SEO, if you're still missing SSL, this is a very simple piece of your SEO strategy to implement, and the benefits go well beyond SEO as well, because customers will trust you more when they see that SSL. Now, one of the reasons why the browsers want that is not only because it does indicate a better user experience, but it really indicates true ownership of a site. And typically, search engine spammers are not going to go out and get an SSL certificate because there is an identity verification step involved in that. And they don't want to be known at all to the search engines, and they want to keep that private. So if a site is not secure, then it's a bigger signal that maybe it's not as authentic a site as it plays out to be. So go ahead and get that certificate so you'll get that search engine boost. Next, believe it or not, SSL or HTTPS is now faster than regular unsecure HTTPS or HTTP. And for years, this has not been the case because when you have a security certificate in play, both the browser and the server have to do essentially encryption and decryption processes on that step. Plus, the certificate has to be transported back and forth. So there's a little bit of extra overhead to it. However, if you've implemented HTTP2, which we highly recommend you implement HTTP2, your site will load faster being SSL than non-SSL, especially over HTTP2. Now here's another funny thing. You can't be HTTP and use HTTP2 because HTTP2 requires a secure layer. So you have to have that to turn that piece on. And this will give you a significant speed and performance benefit. All modern browsers support HTTP2 and most server infrastructures do. However, you probably will have to turn HTTP2 on, and it may require you migrating from an older server in your provider's infrastructure to a newer server because they probably won't go back and retrofit old servers. Also, if you're in the Windows world, only Windows Server 2016 supports HTTP2, and since there was a big gap between the previous version of the server operating system and the latest one, which has only been out for a few months at this point, most places have not got those set up yet. However, if you've got a CDN over top of your websites, most CDNs do have HTTP2 on. You may have to turn it on because it may not be on by default, especially if your site was already configured. Finally, you really want to be HTTPS because most modern web APIs require this to turn all the new features on. For example, if you want to be a progressive web app, you have to have HTTPS enabled on your site, or else the browsers don't feel like they can necessarily trust you. So they're not going to give you those API benefits that you would get if you were secure, because they want to have that level of trust. So you're not going to be able to get into the app stores. You're not going to be able to have access to some of the newer APIs like push notification API, etc. You've got to have those things turned on because that gives the browsers an extra level of trust in who you are, just like the search engines are looking for that as well. So to wrap this up, 5 reasons why you should go ahead and implement HTTPS today are: browsers will go out of their way to indicate if your site's not secure. It's not cost prohibitive or technically prohibitive anymore. Search engines are looking for secure sites and giving them better search engine ranking. SSL sites are now faster than non-secure sites when you use HTTP2, which is another thing you should turn on. And modern web APIs are now making it a requirement to be secure to have those features turned on for your sites to take advantage of. So if your site's not secure and you need a security certificate, feel free to contact us, lovetodeb.com/HTTPS, to find out more about our SSL security certificate offerings, and hopefully we can help you get your site secure today.